Hello, I'm Eagle Gardens one on Instagram, and this is fucking talking shit with Eagle, episode 823. Man, it feels oddly good to fucking say that. It has been both a long time since I've done a fucking talking shit with Eagle episode, and it's been a long time since we've gotten to talk. So this is uh this is a double special kind of episode. I'm looking forward to catching up with you. And so we were talking a little bit pre-show, and I can't help but notice I'm weird like this. I try to pick up on patterns a little bit.
Okay.
I don't know why. But as I was like looking back at like some of the older shows, and if you guys haven't caught some of the past episodes, I highly suggest doing so. Um, I was noticing there is a 100% pattern going on with me.
Between the dates of when we do these?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah. Because
Is,
it's
is
all
that is that coincidental, or do you know what I'm getting at here?
well, I believe, yeah, the first two were a year but both like at the end of October, or were they maybe in November too?
They were
Yeah.
all in November.
Wow.
They were
Yeah.
both in November.
It's the time of year.
In fact, the last one was November 28th, and the prior episode was like a November 12th or 8th, maybe, but all in November.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was like, wow, this there's a weird underlining thing here. So cheers, happy November, and I'm glad to catch up with you. You guys
Yes.
hopefully know this is Antenna Seeds. I guess I
Oh,
didn't say that, but cheers as well. Welcome to the show. And this is otherwise known as Babcarious K, right?
yeah, that was my old, I guess, handle on the internet. Now I'm just Ben from Antenna because I'm all legal now. So, there's no need to really have so many aliases and that sort of thing. Yeah, I mean, I had many years as Favarius K, and, now it's nice to be licensed and, I'm paying taxes, so I don't need to go by an alias. That's
Right
how I
on.
say it. But yes, sir, it's good to see you and Mr. Eagleguard.
So I guess we should remind them, right off the bat, where they can find you.
Oh, yeah. Well, I used, now I guess primarily Instagram is what I focus on. I don't have a lot of time to do, a million different social media platforms, but I really love Instagram. For the past 4 or 5 years, it is by far the most supportive, weed online place I've ever been. It's just the people, my, small but loyal group of followers are just, very supportive, and, I really enjoy interacting, and it's really made me a better at everything regarding this because now I get to show it off, and, people appreciate what I'm doing, and it makes me want to do things better. And now that I have my business and everything, I'm doing things at a whole nother level than before, and it's really exciting. But yeah, so my Instagram and then Antenna Seeds are available at greatlakesgenetics.com. That's still the exclusive retailer of my stuff, and Dragboat Jeff does a great job. I know he's going to get you your stuff, and so yeah, I really appreciate what he does in getting that out. And now in the state of New Mexico, my flower and wax is available at Southwest Cannabis at their locations all over Albuquerque and Taos and Santa Fe. So I'm real happy about that too, that I have actual product in the stores and people seem to be enjoying it.
That's pretty awesome. Congrats on that. That's always a kind of little bit of easement when you can legally get rid of some of your hard-earned work there. So,
I
cheers
mean,
to
yeah,
that.
yeah, no, it is, but it's a whole different set of challenges. I mean, if anyone thinks that being licensed somehow means anything about this, is you've just made everything 10 times harder. It's really, the black market is simple and people act properly. And now, when you're dealing with people who have never, never had to deal with it when it was illegal. It's frustrating at times because they really don't know the game, and so I have extreme quality, but yet it's hard to find. I'm very lucky to find Southwest because they were the only people that really haven't lowballed me, and just want to compare what I'm doing to all this other trash that people are cranking out. And I'm trying to establish, a higher end market for flower and everything because that's what I'm producing. So it's yeah, I don't know. I think in the last one I was talking about, yeah, I've changed a lot of my plans. At one point, I think in the last I was not talking about producing flower and those things and just doing clones and that. But when the licenses came out in New Mexico, I just, this is the game. I want to put my stuff out there. It's very special. And so when I saw the opportunity, I really thought I would feel bad if I didn't at least try, to do it because it's what I do and what I enjoy doing. And um, yeah, if I let this chance in New Mexico, because it really is a kind of cool state. I mean, it's not none of the states are perfect for this, but they've made it so you don't have to be a millionaire, to be a licensed producer and manufacturer. But I mean, that would really help out. But it's something I'm doing about as cheap as one can and still maintaining high quality. And yeah, it's I was able to get from the Albuquerque school system. I bought 3 mobile classrooms, um, two 30 by 30 and one 30 by 60. And I have this guy that works with me who really is a miracle worker. He's just knows how to do everything and knows how to do everything well. And so he wired my buildings commercially, but he's not a commercial electrician. He's just one of those guys who can just do that and have everything be up to code. And so he allowed me to really do top quality work and have a facility that's state of the art, but it didn't cost, state of the art money. It's just all done very logically. And those classrooms, compared to building something, I mean, you can buy a mobile classroom for $10,000-$15,000. And then it costs about that to move it. But once you've got it, you plug it in and it's way cheaper than if you're building from scratch and you have a commercial building that's they're about the perfect size, 900 square feet, to do 100 plants at a time. And so the heating and cooling of something that size is very, optimal. It's just, and so, yeah, that's really been cool. Putting that together, and really learning to going from being a seed breeder and regular kind of grower to being an actual commercial grower. That's been a really fun, thing to kind of learn how to just stage everything up, but still do everything that works the best. And so, yeah, I'm just kind of going on now. um, yeah, the new buildings and everything. I guess I could talk about that stuff. I could talk about really anything right now. I have lots of experience. Yeah.
It's your time, brother. We'll talk
All
about whatever you want to talk
right.
about. I guess a quick add on to you being able to get your flower out there in New Mexico. Are you able to get your seeds legally into that market as well? I mean, in some states, it's not so easy it's easier to get your flower in there than it is to actually get your genetics into the
Um,
metric.
I believe I could. I really haven't pushed that yet and don't know if I like having my seeds available at Great Lakes in small amounts. Like I've said before, it's like like a comic book or something that comes out, just in a short press. I want my stuff to be rare someday. So I just kind of, yeah, it's possible to do it, but I guess I haven't really been pushing it. I tried to do a big fem project earlier a few months ago with this. New York City blueberry clone that I have that has very extreme terps. And so I felt that it would be a good female donor. But yeah, once again, it was my third time at trying to reverse some plants, and they make beautiful male sacs, but yeah, not a drop of pollen to be had. And so it's really, I don't even know if I feel like it's almost nature telling me that, not to even mess with it. But no, I was thinking of maybe having those be available because if they were after being tested, and they would be good for people. But when that didn't work out, I just put it behind put it in the back burner for now. And because it's just so much damn work to do you have to have all those clones, and then you gotta spray those suckers for a month, and then to have it not work. um yeah, I like when I use my good males, then I can make seeds very easily. And the first two runs that I've done in my production building has all been from seeds, which was a lot of fun to do with all these new strains that I have. And I'd never before had a chance to run 40, 50 at a time and see, how nice they were. And so that was really exciting and so, yeah, for the seeds right now, I mean, I just released, I think I got like 8 new ones that are probably the best things I've ever put out. And so, yeah, I'd like to get some feedback on those. I'm, right now really just working on the company and trying to pay my power bill, that, because I got all the production down, but, I need to find, you know, more people to sell this stuff, and at some point have my own retail outlet. And that's the real trick. The fun part is growing and making stuff. I mean, that's really but then the business side of that, that's where the work, kind of kicks in. And you gotta, you know, I don't talk to a lot of people. And so when I get on the phone and have to start making cold calls and sell drugs, it's like, I don't know, it's another world from just living out here. And I love just working on my stuff. I mean, this has been for the past 2 years just nonstop. Um, and I still haven't really gotten paid for it, but I'm hoping that, everything will hit hard and people will really appreciate what I'm doing and the level of quality that I'm bringing to these stores. And it's like, it's just, when I do this cold calling, I'm like, no, this is the best weed in New Mexico. I'm not just saying that, because I'm cocky or what. No, I assure you that this is, that there's nothing else commercially available that comes close to this. And the reason that is there's no CBD in now that I have had my strains tested, I understand so much better why they work. And I've come to this realization, and that is that CBD, it's for lightweights. It's the only purpose it serves in flower is to let people smoke something that maybe tests high THC, but it's literally just negating, whereas if you have just high THC, which my strains are, no CBD and CBG, that is just the recipe. If you're not getting high from something, it's not working as medicine. I mean, that's real, because if you're not able to get high from it, you can't get tolerant from it, and you can't have the just the more THC, the better. And that's really, now that, yeah, and with the concentrates that I'm making and everything, but it's not just THC. That's why hazes are the best medicine. It's because they have the high THC, the zero CBD, and all of the terpenes and cannabinoids that function with that high THC. I mean, you don't want like Marinol, which is just straight up THC that, doesn't have any of the other things around it. But when you have that combination, that's just, as a heavy user and someone, at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. And these other strains that are, for, I guess, there's going to be a lot of debate about that. But to me, when I'm talking about medicine working, I'm saying it's not clouding the high or the effects of the THC. And yes, there may be some benefits to there being CBD in there for other things. But I really think, CBD is like the anti, it's like the enemy almost of THC. And the more people consume and get used to this stuff, like deep down, the true headies, you know, are what people are going to want. And then in their concentrates too. Um, I mean, I've tried so many concentrates from these stores, from these, big name companies, and like they all taste like when I make rosin from premature bud. That's what 90% of the concentrate that I've tried in New Mexico from these, and the stuff tests or whatever, 90%, but it's garbage. I mean, it doesn't, I mean, maybe for a light, like I said, that stuff is geared for maybe just weekend smokers, but no, I mean, I'm producing things that like get you high every time. And that's, what I'm most excited about, and what I'm ready for people to start realizing that they should be really picky about what they're smoking. And um, yeah, it's there's a lot of weed being produced, but I don't think much of it is worth really good for anything. I mean, I'm just I'm saying it, but no, I mean, it's glad if you like it. I'm really glad, but it's like when it comes down to it, just yeah, there's good stuff and there's the best, and that's what I'm pushing for. And um, I've also found, yeah, I think I should take a dab. I'm sort of burning through a lot of stuff quick, and
Please
but
do.
yeah, but yeah, do you have any comments or thoughts on what I'm saying? Is that nuts?
No, no, I do. Uh, fucking yeah, I'm all chiefing down why on this joint. Why you're just I feel like it's super unfair. So go take your dab. But
Okay.
yes, I do believe there's a lot to what you're saying there. Uh, and especially on the premature side of things. I've got tons of questions. I've got tons of questions, but I'm not trying. You know how I like to let it roll and kind of
Right,
let
right.
pop in when I need to, or But yes, I believe that's the common market. To be honest with you, the immature harvesting of commercial cannabis these days. I think they're trying to harvest early to satisfy their extracts needs. And then the flower that's making it to the market is that same premature flower. And the testing that I'm seeing here in Michigan kind of reflects that, because what I'm seeing here in Michigan is almost every fucking time I look at one of these testings, THC A, the beginning of the chain, it's always higher than the amount of THC
Yeah,
that's in the bud. So that tells me
yeah.
they're indeed harvesting on the, premature side of things. And again, not allowing it to walk down the chain a little bit further to get to that G and other, chemical phases there of the molecule. It's kind of one-sided and somewhat laggy. You know what I mean? It's not as full bodied as the flower should be. You know what I mean? They're trying to just harvest it all one purpose instead of, I don't know. But I do see a lot of very premature, heartless cannabis floating around. Uh, which I guess again kind of brings me back to a quick question as you take your dab there. Um, have you kind of changed your focus a little bit? Because last time we had talked, you were about 4 months into the dab press there, pressing your own rosin, and you had kind of switched from the flower to the rosin. So what kind of made you decide, I'm gonna fucking I'm gonna bring back flower.
Oh, oh
So it
well.
didn't make you follow the trend, but like everybody else would go, I'm just gonna make fucking extract.
Oh well. I mean, I'm making extract along with the flower. I mean, I'm selling my wax and rosin and that. But yeah, I'm growing really beautiful flower. Like first I want to touch on when we were talking about the immature plants, and it's just like, you know, 1212 is just most plants, won't finish nicely inside under 12-12. I mean, doing the 11-13, 11 hours on, 13 off. Um, not, I mean, for sativa stuff, especially, but like I mean, I think any plant would probably benefit from not being under 12-12. But yeah, but most stuff, you know, if you've been growing a long time, I mean, my wife this last round got a little magnifying glass to look at the trichomes, and I've never used one of those, in my 25 years of growing. And it was kind of interesting to see, but, I still pulled the stuff, when I thought the plant looked ready. And it was just sort of that, I just go by that experience where, but no, I mean, I like things to be done. And that's really, um, yeah, I mean, if it's not mature, it's, even if it had a chance to be potent, um, it's not going to be there. And then making concentrate from immature is just concentrated bullshit. It just doesn't. Um, yeah, I mean, that's why, even like rosin, like I had a bunch of immature outdoor stuff that I did this year and pressed it up, and it smells wonderful, but it's just like it's something I can give to a lightweight friend because they can pretend to take big dabs, um and it won't rip their head off like the stuff that I make from good flower, um and am selling. And so yeah, I still rarely touch, just smoke the regular flower. I might just try the new strains when they come through. I enjoy I guess a joint in the shower is kind of nice. But no, I just find overall with the amount that I consume and enjoy, just throughout the day, I'm switching off between my ethanol extracted wax and rosin. And, a lot of times I'll take, half gram or whatever of the wax on there, and then take some reclaim and sort of snake it around that. So um, then you can get a hotter hit, and you let the reclaim burn off first. I mean, these are just total crackhead ways of pushing this to as far as you can, but it's, yeah, I mean, and so if I tried to do this with flour like I used to, I sounded like I worked in a gravel pit or a coal mine or something, because I was just, all that chlorophyll and green stuff. It makes you tired. The purer this medicine is, and that's why I go back and forth. I mean, I still, my ethanol extracted wax, now that I have a proper vacuum oven, and can do I mean, that to me is, just the most potent, um, concentrate that you can make. It just, when you control the shake, and then I have a nice extract craft Edo Plus that removes the alcohol at 90 degrees. So you keep all those terpenes, and then you move that to the oven, keep that under 90. And so, yeah, I've really stepped up, compared to what, I mean, I used to make ISO wax, and I was happy with that for years until, I've got better equipment, and now I'm much pickier. But yeah, I mean, rosin, I guess, is still the king. I mean, that's the juice of the orange, and really, but if I guess I've also experimented a lot with blending rosin to wax at about, uh 1 to 3, like a third rosin, 2/3 wax. And that's really nice, too. So yeah, I'm really enjoying just, and soon I'll have my lab fully set up in one of those buildings that I have, to where, yeah, I've got a 20-ton press and, all my equipment for oil making. And then I'm going to get more into, I guess, water hash, because I really want to. Right now I can press rosin from flour, but I haven't really, you know, I don't have the art of pressing bubble hash yet. I mean, that's really, that's another level. From anyone can press flour, but like really having the full live, when you freeze the freshly picked material, and then, make bubble hash from it, and then freeze dry that, then press that. I mean, that's sort of the gold, the best thing you can do, but so right now I'm concentrating on my wax, which I've been making for a few years and then as I have my facility, we'll be processing lots of that stuff of bubble hash and making rosin. And it's just, yeah, I'm just doing what I can because I'm just kind of at that point where I can afford for me to work and to make money. But yeah, I'm waiting for things to kind of take off and um, so the business can grow more. But no, I have a big vision for it. And, I'm just really happy to share this stuff and New Mexico is cool too because it's not California and Colorado and that where you're just competing with so much money and so much experience. It's kind of a cool place because you can exist and grow your brand. And yeah, if you're good, there's not a lot of competition for at that level. So it's kind of I've been here for 14 years, but it's great to be given back and but yeah they so yeah, if that answers your questions about I love flower and I love making flower for others and showing it off and just another thing with these buildings is I want to show you these. This was a very controversial thing when I was putting my flowering building together because, rather than spending 20,000, I wanted to do LEDs. I didn't want to deal the power out where I live can flicker, and I didn't want to continue dealing with HPSs and halides because when the power flicks, you gotta, restart them and all that shit. And sometimes we have days where it flicks 8 times. And so it's really hard on the bulb. So anyway, I want to do 15,000 watts, of LEDs for this building. And so one way of going about that is, all those fancy dancy LED grow lights that are around $1,100 per 800 watts. That's why if I had, endless funds. But one thing I've been using for the past few years that people sleep on are these things right here. This, when you look up LEDs, on eBay and Amazon, a lot of them have crazy wattages that are lies. They'll be like, oh, 800 watts or 1,000 watts. These are 300-watt street light replacement bulbs. They actually pull about 280 watts, but they produce 40,000 lumens of 5,000 Kelvin light. And so I bought 55 of these for $2,700. Okay. So my building has 45 of my flowering building of these, where my friend and we put up 45 fixtures at the top ceiling of these, and that produces 2 million lumens in this space, at a cost of $3,000 versus, at least 15,000 if you were to buy 15,000 watt conventional grow LEDs. But people say, oh, this is just pure white light. I mean, you used to run a metal halide. This is the equivalent of a 600-watt metal halide, but it uses 280 watts. And every watt goes to the white light. You're not losing any to green light or red light or, this is all the white blue. This is what it used to be, that high pressure sodium, that 2000 Kelvin, that was the most efficient light source on Earth, pretty much. So we as weed growers used it because more light equals more weed. But now the chips that they use in these are literally the most efficient light source we have on the planet. And you've got like 2,000 of them on this thing. And so what I'm saying is, yeah, then along with that, these bulbs in my flowering, I've got a dozen of these 100-watt incandescents, the old fashioned. And these are 2000 Kelvin. And, they're not intensity wise, it doesn't matter. But old growers used to always, for every couple thousand watts of HPS, they would stick 100-watt incandescent in their room because this is the sun. This is a full spectrum light source that doesn't need 15 minutes to restart. So in my flowering room, I have 45 of these bulbs and 12 of these, and that gives me extreme white daylight, which plants like. And then, you know, just so that they have that variety, the full spectrum, I have 1,200 watts of that light. But it's so yeah, when I first set that up, there was a lot of people who told me I was nuts and that I had to get those purple lights or those, but yeah, I mean, when you expose these plants to this white light, this daylight, yeah, you don't get as much green material. And maybe the buds are not as fat, but they are more potent with terpenes and THC. You get these, they're, yeah, the plants go crazy in the way that you want them under this type of light. And so, yeah, I just wanted to show these because they're in it. You can find them on eBay and buy them for 70 to 50 bucks a piece and put them, and they use the same old fixtures, the same reflectors you used to use. You can use all of those just without a ballast. And like, yeah, for vegging, these are better than any metal halide. Those goofy ass ceramic metal halide. If you want to spend $700 on no, this blows those away. This is more efficient. This is just pure white light that plants love. And so yeah, I made sure I had those on hand so I could, show that you don't got to spend a ton of money on those. That's all marketing. It's like pro audio. It's just those grow lights, are made for people who don't know what they're doing and think they want the best. But plants just want as much light as you can possibly give them. And, LED is way more efficient. If I were to have 15,000-watt, halides or sodiums in a building, I mean, it would be 200 degrees. But, those bulbs, when they're on, they only are about 100 degrees. My wife said someone was asking what we call those lights. If you go on eBay and you search for 300-watt street light replacement, and there's a lot of crap in there, but if you find those cones, there's quite a few, Chinese sellers. And, like I made a deal with one, yeah, when they were at like 70 bucks, I bought like, yeah, I think 55 of them for 50 bucks a piece. So, they just are drop shipping them and, support China, just, got it. But anyway, but no, it's just that is the shit, just, you don't need those fancy ass lights. Just put as many of those, they pull about 280 watts a piece. And, yeah, I mean, I have right now in my veg building, I've got about 10 of those lights under reflectors with the 100 clones going. And I mean, it is just the internode space for the sativas that they are is unreal. I mean, it's really, they're just very, very happy. And, but yeah, it's just, no, metal halides were great, but they were super inefficient. And, they take, if your power goes out, you got to wait to restart them. And yeah, those are just lots of light yeah, I should. Okay. But anyway, I like those bulbs. That's what I'm saying. And if you're looking for a cheap way to, if you were doing a closet or something like that, oh my gosh, you could put 3 of those in, and have like, a ton of light in a small space, and your plants will do better than those, really chintzy, they have those grow lights that they sell that are they're like, oh, the equivalent to 1,000 watts, but they're like 60 watts or something. And they're not, those are the only economy LEDs that I found that really are a great deal. And so, okay.
Great advice. So are you
Yeah.
with all that light there, have you changed the time of like say your veg or your flowering time. The last few years we've talked about like a 12 and one is pretty much what we call this. And that's like so in veg under like higher powered LEDs running 12 hours on, 5.5 hours off, 1 hour on, 5.5 hours off to keep the veg cycle. And it's worked out for a lot of great people. And even in the vet and the flower side of things, kind of pulling things back to like 8 or 9 hours on
Yeah.
in a longer dark period. So are you with that much light? Have you adjusted your time or you just
Well,
what
as I
if
was, yeah, I was
go
saying, like, I do 11, 11 hours on, 13 hours off for flowering. And I've been doing that. I think I talked about in 2009, I met DJ Short, the blueberry guy, and we talked about growing sativas. And, what I'm doing now in my building is kind of like a testament to our conversation we had, years ago, and how, just using middle halides is so inefficient, but it would be so nice to flower with just that white light. And how, and he was the one who said doing, 11, 13 or 10 and a half, 13 and a half, even for sativas. And so after that conversation, I went to that, and yeah, I just noticed that all plants finish better um, with that shorter, not under 12-12. I mean, there might be some that love 12-12, but the sativas I grow, they all seem to like it better. And as far as vegging, it's 20 degrees here right now. And so I figure I generally do 24 hours of light. I mean, I've had a lot of people say, you can give them a little time off, but if I'm going to run heaters, I might as well run light. And yeah, I guess I just like have always done that. And so I could experiment, but it just seems like with my genetics too, they really want to flower. They're sativas, and they really want to start flowering. And so I don't want to give them any indication that in veg that the flowering cycle has started, because they really, I'll get pre flowers on them, so that as soon as I flip the lights, they're beginning their cycle within a few days usually. So, and that's, what you want. If you're trying to pull off commercial indoor haze related strains, you need to really do everything getting those to properly finish is, the main deal. Because if you have a lot of stuff at the end and it's, immature, it's no. I mean, even if you have less weed, just making sure it's done properly. And yeah, that's the only thing that matters. And really what, I'm not, there's big companies in New Mexico that I'm competing against, but I feel like quality is really the only thing. Just by having extreme quality, like that's the only way at the end of the day I can compete. And um yeah, I really want people to, when, when they go to the store and, my stuff is expensive and like, but I really want them to remember the experience, when they got that antenna weed, and it was something that, they, this stays with them. Like that's my goal. And it's the, yeah, I mean, and I hope having that goal leads to, making good money from this and being successful. But, I'm really not a business guy. I'm a guy who likes to produce this weed, and, and I'm trying to find that middle ground where, I'm doing, I'm producing it as cheaply as I can at the best quality I can. And that's, really, a lot of people too. I grew living organics, for the last 10 years, and yeah, in my cave, and always enjoyed that. But being a commercial grower, it just organics, maybe in the, it's just one of those things that it's easier done, in smaller scale, when you can have all your containers, that you're preparing the soil to be just right at the right time and all that. But when you have to do, 100 plants at a time, now I'm doing a nice 1/3 peat moss, 1/3 perlite, 1/3 vermiculite by volume. I blend that together in 3-gallon pots. And then I've been using, that Athena. those salt newts. And because, I, flush the hell out of my stuff, and that's really, most people's problems with any type of nutrients are they're not properly flushing. And so you can use really anything as long as you're not overdoing it. And you just, with my hazes, I only give them what they really need. You don't push them or they just the quality goes down. And so, and then I flush for 5 weeks to when I'm pulling these. I mean, there's all the fan leaves are gone pretty much, and they've been, but yeah, then you don't have to cure as long. You have that instant flavor because the plant has gotten rid of the chlorophyll that would have still been in there if you're pumping newts too late and so I might flush too long, but it's like I'd rather err on the side of things, not being green. And taste, and yeah, and the quality of my last few harvests, I mean, it's possibly the best stuff I've ever, I mean, this last harvest, I have this cross of the Gorilla Glue #4 that Josie Well cut. Yeah, I should say, like, last year I spent a couple grand on Strainly, and I got a bunch of stuff that I'd always wanted to have, so that I could pair it with my 3DG13 Fast Haze male. And so it was, and so I got, the Oregon Kid Banana OG, that thing that just, if you do it right, it tastes like, banana concentrate. I mean, it is one of the most, and I have a nice sour strawberry of Boggs that tastes like strawberries, and that New York City blueberry that's been around since, I guess, '97. That was part of the Manhattan bicycle delivery service. And because that's the thing, like I've been a blueberry fan for as long as I've been growing weed. And other than the original blue satellite that I grew, the Spice of Life, um, Raider Steve, um, one that he did with DJ Short, which was a cross of a blueberry sativa with shishka berry male. And that almost was so blueberry, it had a blueberry Windex uh, type smell. But this New York City blueberry clone, that it is like someone took blueberries and smashed them and made that concentrated juice, and it's almost too much, and it's like, not a blueberry muffin, it's a real past even, there's blueberry muffin, blueberry candy, then blueberry juice. And I crossed that with my 3DG13 Fast Haze male and have a new version of Blue Laser Light. And I only had to run maybe about 20 seeds of that and found one that was even louder than the mother clone. And that's the one I'm running next in my building, because it's just, yeah, this stuff right here that I'm dabbing on, this wax. Yeah. With the camera change. There we go. Oh, you can't. Anyway, you know what wax looks like, but I made this from a bunch of the outdoor blue laser light. And so, yeah, it's
All right.
just an intense blueberry. And so, yeah, I really, spent some money on those clones, but because I have that male that can make wonderful versions, I think that blue laser light, blows away. It's way more potent than that New York City blueberry clone because it has that 3DG13 in it, and the flavors there. And so, yeah, I'm really excited about that plant and having a whole, my next run, half of it is that clone, and then half of it is my Sour Gorilla Bubble Haze Cherry Lifesaver clone. That's one of the most extreme plants I've ever, it just grows so fast and big, and it's so strong. And even though this is a cross of Sour Diesel and Gorilla Glue and my haze, for some reason in all of that, this Cherry Lifesaver comes out in this one. I mean, most of them aren't like that, but this is so no, it's going to be exciting to have a bunch of these really strong flower, which I can that contains the most wonderful terpenes that I can make concentrates from that, yeah, like people will remember that it just extreme potency and extreme flavor. And it's, um, yeah, that's what I'm focused on. And, um, but you just every step of the way, you got to have the genetics that can do these things. And then you got to know how to grow them properly and finish, and that, it's really, you know, it's a fun journey. And like everything, I've been doing this 25 years, but I'm learning every day, new things and it's just that repetition that makes you better. And so it's like, that's what's exciting is, I mean, I wake up and I'm doing weed stuff, every waking moment. And I'm happy to do, it's really the only work I want to be doing. And so and my wife has been a huge help in all this because she made all the packaging nice and make sure everything, like doesn't look crazy. Like you know, I'm better at just, the ham fisted sort of just doing the producing lots of good stuff. And then in the future, when I have more people, I guess, working for me that can handle all the sales and all that, I'll be happier. And because no, I just want to work on making this stuff better and getting the better equipment because that too. It's just like those extract craft. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like those extract craft machines. They advertise them on Facebook and stuff, and they have a tabletop unit for like $700 and a bigger $3,000 pro unit. And no, they're a great company. They're a small company, but there's really nothing else that simply does that, and it really lets you make super high quality concentrates at home. Um, just being able to remove that alcohol from the concentrate at a low temp, is a magic. That's the key to it all. Like because I used to use an old water still, and that would bring it up to 200 degrees and almost decarb the wax and stuff, and it was still good. But like, yeah, if you want it not to just taste like asshole, like, um, it's kind of you can get super high from something and have it taste lovely. I mean, that's you know, but yeah, I'm just always working on, just the cleanest possible medicine because I'm super picky in my head. And so, yeah, I mean, ethanol is such a nicer solvent than butane. I mean, I almost consider ethanol to be like a solventless wax because it's natural and it's so much smoother. Like you never, if there's any left in the concentrate, it's like you're not afraid of it like you would like butane or propane and that stuff. And it just does a much nicer job with the flavors. And I don't know. I just never liked the idea of blasting butane and that. And so I've kind of worked on my ethanol. I have a machine now that a buddy of mine who does metal sculptures built. He took like a 5-gallon milk can and took a big what are they? Fuck. What am I talking? Like the corkscrew, the spring. I'm sorry. I'm trying to think of the word spring. I forget words. Uh, but yeah, no, a big spring. And so imagine a big spring mounted and then a can mounted on that spring. Uh, and so I can put 2 pounds of flour in there and 3 gallons of alcohol and shake it. And then quickly remove the alcohol from the material. And so yeah, that like I've said before, a lot of people ethanol they think Rick Simpson oil, that crud, and it's like they don't really use it to make a high quality product like with but when you do, yeah, there you can go so much farther than RSO and make really beautiful um high quality products. And I think the overall effect, if you really want to, of all the concentrates, yes, the rosin I think is the tastiest, but that ethanol wax, it just hits you like a bat in the head. I mean, it's just it works every time, all day long. And that's, I think that's important. It may make me sound, crazy, like I just want to be high all the time. But no, when you're using that as medicine and your tolerance is super high, you want the cleanest, the most amount of THC with the other accompanying stuff all the time. To me, that's what people would be much better off if you really need this for medicine. Flower is just really inefficient, and so if I think this would be looked at much differently if people had access to just the cleanest possible medicine, and then they could see how it really works on people. Because too long, if you're switching strains and just smoking lots of flower, I mean, yes, I'm sure that can work for some things, but if you need high doses all the time, that's going to run you down, and it's going to make you, more of a stereotypical stoner. Like that's what, yeah, just, but if you have clean meds, yeah, I mean, I guess it's kind of like when I was younger and my doctors gave me all that speed, versus if I was scoring on the street meth, I mean, just like, yeah, I mean, I would still be high on speed all the time when I was, but I didn't have to, it was a much cleaner experience. And I never, had to, but yeah, that stuff is all garbage. And I'm, I made antenna strains are, very useful for people who are on Ritalin or any of those psychiatric drugs, to replace that. I mean, I'm not saying, I'm not claiming anything. I'm just saying for me personally, I don't even drink coffee anymore. I just like my haze sativas, and they, in the proper way, they, keep my brain as straight as possible without, the drawbacks of a lot of those other things. I mean, speed is just nasty, and so anything that can replace it, I think, is good for humanity. Um, and so there's just, yeah, that's the point of antenna, is just producing medicine that promotes peace, and just good state of mind for people that are the craziest people out there, that would never go to a psychiatrist or something. But I see all the products that I make, whether they're sold in a rec store or a med store, it's all medicine, and the people, you know, I just want to get it out there. And so, I'm not just talking shit about this, I'm actually doing it. So people can try it and they can tell me I'm full of shit then, but at least I'm doing what I say I think is right. And, I just want to get it out there because then people can at least try, what I'm using. I just want my, I think the meds that I've made for myself are very useful for others. And so, but I'm not
And
calling them that. I'm just putting out good product. And um, I think people, once they try it, they'll, the ones that it's made for, will be drawn to it. And,
definitely
uh,
geared towards a problem that is becoming more and more apparent, these days, and that's anxiety, and that's what I'm finding. It long time ago, I noticed for me, and I was talking about this tonight. Yeah, strains that caused me to have anxiety, which would have been high sativa strains, low CBD, like you're talking there, uh, were great for my patients that had terrible anxiety.
yeah,
It just what took them the other way. And you've confirmed exactly kind of that all night long with what you're saying about wanting a higher THC side of things. And I can see that even in your oil making process. you know Cannabis is one of these beautiful plants that can be very uh in particular. You know what I mean? We find certain strains that work very well for us, but we can use it in other ways that work very well for us. And I never really realized that I had a conversation with Jen Doe. And, I had kind of noticed that a little bit about finding strains and finding that harvest time in that strain that worked best for us. But when in the conversation I had with her, um, it kind of went a little bit further. And I can see that in your oil making process that you're talking about, keeping it at low temperature, which we're trying to keep as much as the plant, without the plant there, right? That's the whole
Yeah.
process. And I believe, the higher we walk it down the chain, the more we're losing. At some point we'll be coming down to like cold presses, oils and stuff like that that we see in the essential oil market, stuff like that that contains, more of the plant without less of the heat. But the same thing with oils, making oils and stuff like that. It's all about intention and how we're all going to actually use the product that works best for us. Because a lot of times that we've talked about, not necessarily us, but cannabis community in general, like that chlorophyll in the oil making process. And to this point, I've flip flopped a little bit on that. Wanting to keep it on the clear side in the beginning to wanting to keep it green, to keep it a fuller medicine.
Yeah.
And then and the more I like speak to people like yourselves, I go back and forth on that because now we're back to intention in the individual medicine of it all. What's working best for you? Because there are some people, chlorophyll is kind of, we've kind of come to think of it as a bad thing. But, if you're a patient, cancer patient and need to be down that heavy sleep and shit like that, chlorophyll has a purpose for you. So you in your oil making process, you want to maybe do a little bit longer soak and keep some of that shit in there. So, there's ways to individualize our processes that work best for you. And I can see that, you've taken a lot of time to dial that in for
And
yourself.
I'd like to say I could comment on that too. That yeah, I think I really think the way that a concentrate looks is absolutely the last thing that people should consider. I mean, mostly, distillate is clear, but it's garbage that you don't want. And then, people do remediation, where, these are all things I'll never do because I would, I'm telling you, I want high THC and I'm against chlorophyll. But, I have a lot of people who are critical of the concentrate I make because, yes, it's a little darker and a little more raw than, but to me, it's like, that's where it's at its best. Yeah, I don't, the color and that, and and I'm getting better at that by controlling the temperatures and especially how cold it is when you do the extraction. I still just, I don't have a super deep freezer yet, and so when I can afford that, I should be able to do that. But it's also like right now, I mean, as a consumer of my own medicine, when I make it clearer, I'm a big fan of reclaim still because there's something about the dirtiness of it that some of it, that I prefer at times during the day. I don't want a super clean fruity hit. I want a nasty just headbanger. And so it's really a variety of those things. And so, yeah, I do, think chlorophyll, has its, but just the idea of that it has to be completely removed from the equation or that it's not good. I mean, but I'm talking about, the difference between a good concentrate, the oil, which has way less chlorophyll than just smoking flower. And so that's really the biggest difference is that, but no, what I'm saying, for a cancer patient, yes, a heavy indica if they just want to get knocked out or but I really don't think the body stuff is what cannabis really evolved from. I mean, I really think the sativa, the head, it got through the thousands of years of keeping people from being too crazy. And like now, they weren't really even thinking about cancer and those things, I think as much as how it affected their mind. And so I believe a lot of the stuff that we sort of put to the forefront of cannabis medicine, things like helping cancer, which are very important, are really not the primary goal of the medicine. I think they're one of the more side effects, the happy side effects of them. But I think that the main point of cannabis medicine is that high THC in the brain and helping the brain evolve and yeah, I mean it can do a lot of stuff in the body. But I'm just, the head, there's very few medicines that we have. We have lots of things we can take for our body, but like really, something that's good for our brain. I mean, that's the most important thing. And no, what do I mean, I could be totally wrong about all this, but no, I'm just saying from my experience and from my lots of thinking about this and just seeing how this works firsthand, that's how I believe, these things work. And yeah, that's what I'm moving ahead and working towards. And so, yeah, if I'm proven wrong, that's fine too. I'm just, I'm not a doctor. I'm just a guy, but
I
it's,
love hearing the different perspective and viewpoints of the plan, how we think it works. I really do, to be honest with you. And just to speak a little bit to like the color of your oil, man, I wouldn't let that shit bother you. I really
oh,
believe that that's hocus pocus. The
yeah,
color of hashes and shit like that. We're back to now, okay, it's a medicine for me. At what point does it work best for me? Does it work better on like the preemy lighter side of things or the darker side of things that boy it's matured a little bit and it's made a little bit. I think I really believe this whole color bullshit when it comes to hash because we can color remediate
yeah,
oils and hashes. I think this push came from initially. I when if I in my from what I the way I remember it, right? Like California kind of really pushed for the beach sand, the clear side of things. And
yeah,
where did, the first kind of commercial markets come from? California. Boom. So now we've got a bunch of like commercial minded people thinking, how in the hell can we speed this process up? And
yeah.
again, the same thing they're doing today, harvesting early, trying to throw it in the freezers. You know what I mean? And
Oh, yeah,
make clear or, whatever clear extracts out of it. They've tried to simplify and push the color thing because it was convenient for them. They were harvesting early. So fucking
right,
yeah, you want clear shit. You know what I mean? It's the shit. That's what we got. You know what I
right,
mean? That's the commercial because that's what's there. And I believe that worked for them fairly well. So now they've like, okay, this is working for us. So fuck the drying process. We're just like, fuck flower altogether. We're just gonna grow weed, throw it in the freezers, and now we're
right.
gonna push this clear extracts towards it. But I don't think that's geared to the individual, to be honest with you. I
No,
think
and
that's
I feel like if I can survive as a company long enough for people to mature and realize that what goes in to making truly great concentrate, like every step, the ingredient, the flour itself has to be top quality, or you shouldn't even bother. And but just there are so many ways, so many places in the process where you can screw it up, and it's just now that I'm making it commercially and just trying to do the best quality that I can, it really, and still compete, I have to compete against people who are making that crap and can sell, $4 half grams or whatever to this, it's just ridiculous, and so you're like, just yeah, it really, I just believe though that as people have more access to this stuff, they'll get pickier and then they'll really seek out, and they'll see my logo and, they'll know that this stuff, isn't going to be a waste of their time. And so I think if I can just exist like that long enough to get a fan base and then, and who knows when they go federal, what's going to happen with all of this if we're just going to get wiped out, the small guys. But I got to do it right now and just not think about what ifs. It's like this is the chance, and you never know. I mean, uh, what can happen, and as long as you're doing something good, and you know then yeah, if I can survive at this quality, then I'll be real happy. And I just hope to, start getting paid better. But, it's a crazy market, and it's any asshole can grow flower, and that's really, um yeah, this asshole is. So, uh but no, that you have to compete against all of that, and then just people who really are not educated enough to know the difference, and then egos, everyone that's growing, thinks they're doing the best. And so when you come in there and tell them that you have something better than theirs, it really, I think the reason the lady bought my stuff from this company was, she's a businesswoman and not a grower, and so she just, you know, liked what I had to say and gave me a chance based on that, and I didn't have to fight with, her idea that she was the best. And so it was, it was a little easier to, um, I just want to make her money. And that's, it's a good relationship so far. But yeah, the expanding the business is the only thing that keeps me up at night. And because it's the homework that I don't enjoy as much. The cannabis scientist and, shaman shit, this is fun, but when but no, I'll get it all figured out. It's kind of a fun game. It's something that's a little, business is sort of interesting. I like psychiatry and that, and it's really, I think a lot of these people have gone to business school and they play these, they're taught these like things there, and like almost how to like manipulate or control situations. And so it's kind of interesting, like, being in that, going up against that, very different than, like the black market and how people acted back in the day. But it's fun. I just kind of see it as a game and don't take it too personally. I just want to, it's just something that, yeah, I take very personally what I'm doing, the quality, but I know it's good. And so it's just got to find the right audience, and, it'll be real cool because there's nothing more exciting than people trying your stuff and just, having their minds blown by it, or being, I get messages on Instagram from people who are using my medicine for what it's for. And that's, you know, unbelievable when, someone will tell you, yeah, I started growing head games and it, you know, really has changed my life. And like, um, yeah, I mean, that's nothing really better than hearing stuff like that. And so it makes me want to just push it further and normalize this kind of weed, um, and get it, make them demand for it. And then people will, you know, I won't have to worry about it. But yeah, no,
Right.
I just want to promote good that's why I'm giving away all my secrets, as my dad says, like that. But I'm like, no, that's the thing. You can tell people exactly how to do something, and the egos in this are so strong that they won't, that's why I can show you these light bulbs and be like, these are cheap, and there's no, but no, they swear by the whatever thing they bought, and it's, and that's fine, because it's fun as long as it's fun. If not everyone's a commercial grower and trying to push all the light, and so yeah, buy those fancy lights, and then it's I just come from a background of, yeah, just if you can do something cheaper and have it be just as good or better, then that's kind of fun too. I don't like spending tons of money on something that can be done simply. It's just, I don't know, I don't like that. So it's been real fun putting the business together and trying to do it, and not sacrifice quality, but just really use your head and try to really think, what does the plant basically need, and give it that. And yeah, I've been real happy with the results. And um, yeah, I think it's time for another dab. Maybe my wife will join us on the bong.
So I think you're, yeah, I overall, I think you're on the better side of the market, upcoming market, or your business plan, to be honest with you. I like the fact that you've continued to stick to your guns with the haze side of things, which, I appreciate the haze. It's something that, you know, there's this is what I'm hoping for or hoping we'll see more of, you know, uh, the earlier stages of cannabis, like say here in Michigan, we all kind of and I'm guilty of this. I've had conversation with other growers. Well, which one are you gonna grow? That sativa? Everybody loves sativa, but why grow that sativa? Because you can flip your indica hybrid room twice before you can harvest that one sativa. And you know what I mean? The price point is harder to sell there.
Right.
You know what I mean? But as the smaller guy has been, at least it's harder for this smaller guy here. Okay. So I think a lot of us, myself included, I'm hoping for, again, hoping for, will take the time out to, go, okay, it's not necessarily quantity. You know what I mean? I'm not
Right.
trying to push out as much decent, really good bud. You know what I mean? That's what I think of the shorter term flower. Sure, bigger
Right.
yields, but it's not as bang. You know what I mean? That's kind of the way I view a lot of that. You know what I mean? We won't, it won't be so much of a yield thing. We'll go back to, okay, I'm growing weed for me and a few friends, couple patients. You know what I mean? So I'm not worried about it. So I can have a couple of indicas over there and or I'm sorry, sativas, long-term sativas over there and let them go. And I think them are going to be the ones you see at the craft markets. Everybody's like, what the heck is that? The longer term flower and shit. And I think more and more people are going to take a shot on that because it isn't, you know what I mean? I'm not trying to bang out as much flour. Right? There's going to be a little bit more connoisseur level to it. So, and I appreciate the hazes, man. I like the hazes. I think that's where they're at. And I think people will come to, appreciate that more because anymore people are just banging out, just hybrid. You get back to the stronger, super sativa hay side of things. You
And
know,
yeah,
man.
just speak to that. I see a lot of people when they do decide to grow a sativa, they're just like, oh, well, if I'm going to grow a sativa, let me find some Cambodian haze or old timer haze and some 16-week, um, really unruly thing that at the end, the buds don't look like really anything I'd want to smoke either. I mean, I'm sure they're magic, but like that's the beauty of the 3D G13 fast haze. I mean, mine really, a little over 9 weeks, maybe 10 on the like my new banana haze, but the stuff, it doesn't take that much. I'm not interested in landrace strains because to me, yeah, like what I have is every bit as good in less time, and just the idea of like searching through lots of these long flowering hazes just to find one that might have the same effect as my 3DG13. It's just, it doesn't, yeah, it's kind of that novelty is that commercially. I mean, I would never grow something 16 weeks that, yeah, I mean, I got that clone of the New York City Pip, which is insane. It's like pissing yourself in Catholic Church. It's just frankincense and urine. And I crossed that with the 3D for the new head games. And yeah, and it took the PIF clone took about 11, 12 weeks. Whereas the head games, is down to 9.5, maybe 10 at so it really, and yeah, every one of them looked as good as the clone and smells like it. And so it's just, yeah, that's why I love that genetic is because it really turns something, everything I hit to it, it just kind of makes a version of it that, you can find ones that are very similar to the mother, but they're going to be more potent. And so, yeah, my new run of seeds, yeah, this one, like I was telling you about getting all the clones, and I got the original Gorilla Glue clone. Um, and I had had a lot of experience with Gorilla Glue with the Gorilla Bubble that Tony Green and I did a collaboration with. Well, he produced that strain, and I've made some crosses with it that were very good. So I knew it was really good. And yeah, the original GG4 clone, I think it's like one of the greatest. It might, if you were to, if an alien were to come to this planet and you wanted to give them an example of just of cannabis. I hate the word marijuana so much, but the yes, this is cannabis in its glory. That's really, yeah, the Gorilla Glue 4, Josie Wellcut. I mean, just the smell. It smells like weed. I mean, just it is the smell of weed. It is, and I crossed that with the 3D um, to make my new Gorilla Haze, and I mean that stuff is just so outrageous. I mean, I can't wait to get it tested because the new testing now. I used to think testing was kind of bogus with those chromatographers they used to have. That just kind of decarboxylated the weed and guessed at the THC. But the new liquid chromatographers, I mean, that stuff is pretty legit and really tells you, what's in your stuff. And there's a lab in Albuquerque that I take all my stuff to, where this couple that's been doing it for a long time, testing things scientifically, came here and opened up a shop. And yeah, I just find that testing to be very interesting to see really what what's going on in the strains. And yeah, I just noticed that my 3D, it makes stuff, like fast hazes. And yeah, all the new ones that I've put out with the Gorilla Glue 3D, and that Piff and that Blueberry and Banana OG. Yeah, they've all just, to me, yeah, my blue laser light blows away that New York City blueberry. And, I can't really say anything blows away the Gorilla Glue 4 clone, but I mean, that Gorilla Haze is just, I mean, they grow, I grew about 50 of the seeds this last run, and they looked like clones. They were just, it's a beautiful F1 vigor, and just, yeah, just lots of THC just falling off of it. It just was, yeah, it's an incredible. And my pineapple haze is another one that I've had a long time. And it might be one of the biggest THC bombs I've ever grown. It just was this unknown pineapple a friend of mine had that I crossed with the 3D. And yeah, it is just outrageous, and it's just headbanger. Total, zero CBD, just yeah, really, really head ringer stuff. And so no, it's cool to just kind of specify, have that be the specialty. Um, and now I have a nice facility to, I've got the whole veg building, my antenna vegetarium, I call it, and where I keep, I have about a dozen mothers or so now, clone moms of all these things. It's wonderful going from a cave to having just an actual facility that's clean and nice and warm. And yeah, so I'm really spoiled now. But it's just, to me, the facility, that's one of the biggest, the place you grow your plants is one of the biggest. It's more important than fertilizer and all that. It's such a, like I was talking to this producer in New Mexico who had bought like a 50,000 square foot building as soon as they got their license, because they have like a 6,000 plant. And, to me, that's sort of like someone who's never grown before. That's what they do. They first get the biggest place they can and then try to turn it into a grow facility. Whereas, having done this a little bit, I it's like, no, 900 square foot buildings, like I've said, are, perfect size that like one person can handle 100 plants and keep them, under the, proper temperatures. Is really that once you've got that, a place that's secure, with the temperatures, then and a lot of light, it's hard to mess things up. I mean, that's the um you don't need any of those extra boosters or any of that shit. It's just, they just want to be, you know, comfortable in their temperature and, not overwhelmed by anything. And then they will just grow and grow and grow the things you want them to do. They'll do what you want them to do. It's and that comes, as just from every time more experience, every time you do this, you just find that little thing that makes things a little better. And so it's like, yeah, I mean, for my oil making and my growing, it's just that's been the most exciting part of this, has been just the opportunity to do this and get better, um, you know, as a matter of necessity of running the business. And, that's really fun because it's, my perspective on growing, it hasn't changed that much, but I've just learned so much, just in the last, year, um, from keeping 100 plants happy at a time, and really thriving and trying to push them. And so, no, I felt like it was a real accomplishment that our first harvest, you know, it tested at 29%, everything. It was really, you know, it made me very happy that, right out the gate, because I'm sure a lot of people, eat shit the first time they, even if they've done it before, like I just told myself to only do what I know works. Don't think there's something magical that I've never done before that's going to magically make it better. Just everything down to the soil mixture and the light and everything, you can always change that if it doesn't, but like, and so, yeah, that was, it's been very fun to see that, have it work out. And, you know, based on doing things that are a little unconventional, but just on what I know to be good. And so,
So what would you say has been the biggest thing in scaling up and trying to stay the same? You know what I mean? To keep the
well, that's,
method.
I always kind of laugh to myself now that, I'm a licensed commercial grower when I see these, Instagram, you'll see like a meme or whatever, where people have this idea that, oh, homegrown, the only good and it's like, dude, I've been a home grower and now I'm a commercial grower who's doing, it's like, taking that experience and, trying to, not have, quality drops are just, they're a choice, when you know how to do it right. Um, and you, and so, yeah, I've just, it's not that hard really, or expensive to grow high quality weed. I mean, most people just, you know, overcomplicate things by adding lots of additives and all this stuff that just screw with the plant cycle. And no, I mean, I did it as simply as I could using those rainbird, drippers. And I have a big tank, and then, you just have the drippers, going. So it's a real simple, comes on every hour for a few seconds. And, you know, I just really just scaled what I was doing before, and just automated it where I could without it, because some things need a human touch, but some things, well, really, most things benefit from a human touch. And there are some things that the only thing that's better automated are probably light timers, but like yeah, watering and all that, it's just, you have to try to simulate what you do. Where I learned, with those drippers, if you don't start, you can't start with those drippers. You need to, I've got a big 1/2 horsepower transfer pump and a garden hose and sprayer. And so when I'm vegging the plants, I'm watering the whole pot and trying to get those roots to spread out. And then you can use the dripper. I had never used drippers before. I'd always just hand watered. So I didn't really realize you had to, you know, hand watering naturally makes the roots spread in a way that if you're just dripping in the same place. So yeah, I'm learning very basic things too that are just like, okay, well, if you're not doing something to this scale, you never really come across this. But um, yeah, like so I just have a big 100-gallon tank that I'll make up citric acid to drop the I'm to use get the pH down to the right levels. And but it's not I'm not super I don't have the meters out all the time. I just sort of worked it out, and I'm still using my plants, kind of as my meters. You just get a feel for even like the feeding and stuff. Like I wouldn't ever put the plants on a schedule that's the same every day or week. It's like I just, every time I throw newts in that tank, I'm kind of just looking at the plants and getting a feel for it. So it's and that's been fun, because you're just doing what you're doing at a bigger level. But the main thing is the intense light. That's as long as what I wanted to do with this was have when I started growing in closets in Chicago 25 years ago with compact fluorescent fixtures that I make, putting like 20 of those screw-in compact fluorescents in a big hood and having it be all janky. And but yeah, that was the first weed that I grew, and I remembered how beautiful the flower was under that light, because it was that, really there's no heat to the light. And it was just, it really brought out something in those flowers that I never really saw again with high pressure sodiums. And so, yeah, the idea that I could have all that electronic light, like the LED light for a commercial grow, and just have an extreme amount, just to see how the plants reacted. That's been really exciting, because it really means, that's what's the difference between, I think good homegrown and what commercial weed is lacking is probably good lighting and just um that sort of just the care into everything, into the um and I don't like to dog on hydroponics, because I've had hydroponic weed that was some of the best I've ever had. I've known people. It's just I've never done it, because I like having my roots in dirt, because that's a lot, it's a lot harder to kill them versus hydro can go bad very quickly. But that's an art in itself. And yeah, it's just sort of it. But I find what I'm doing now to be almost a hybrid, because I'm using a near soilless mixture with drippers. And so yeah, it's kind of, I would say, a hybrid organic system. But no, I love mixing up that perlite and vermiculite with the peat moss. You just when you buy big bags of all of it, and then you can find you can make something that just looks like you want to almost eat it, because it just looks like, wow, like, man, this is hot rod soil. And it's the same stuff that costs like $40 a bag or 50, the expensive, but you can mix that yourself much cheaper. um and so I know, I mean, I love doing that, making that mixture up, and it's all, and seeing how the plants respond to different amounts of each of those ingredients. And it's a really, that's fun. I mean, I enjoy, yeah, organics are fun and all that, but just trying to be the best commercial grower you can is sort really get, not be, have the highest quality possible, but still produce enough to make it worthwhile. And it's really a fun sort of thing to do. It's, you know
Well, I'm curious here because you made me wonder a little bit as we're talking, and I've wondered this anyway. I hear people talk about I like my cannabis, I like to cure my. I've got it teased. So, well, I don't know. I'm not so sure that you like your weed on towards the higher THC side of things. You like it, towards the N or the G, because you've let it kind of sit around and degrade a little bit
Sure.
as it sits around in time. So I think, at some points, uh, you don't like the higher THC. It's you're looking for the molecule a little bit further down. Now, that process there's a couple ways to achieve that. And I think you're kind of on this track a little bit. Um, Now that would be the long-term cure, which comes with a different flavor profile, which I kind of call the gym bag effect, which at that time all your terpenes have kind of mixed into like a punch and then kind of came back into the fiber of the weed as something new and a good it's hard to call what is the accurate representation of your strain. You know what I mean? Because that can be different flavors a little bit different times. So to achieve the same effect, I think we kind of can be done through a cleaner cannabis that has went through a longer. I hate the word flushing, but a senescence of the plant. You know what I mean? You've let it go a little bit further. You're not so much worried about the color of the trichome. You got a little bit more amber. You've naturally let it get to the N and G. You know what I mean? I think at that point now you've got what you were looking for in the cured cannabis, but now you have a fresher cannabis with more individual terpene profiles. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they haven't had that long term blend. So I guess where do you like your cannabis? I mean, where do you like the best representation of what you're putting out there to the public? I guess is it earlier, later? You know what I mean? Full senescence,
Well,
long
that's
term flush, early.
no, well, I mean, I think that's the beauty of good, haze weed, and that is you can explore that. You have the opportunity to, have sometimes the stuff I think it's good, pretty fresh, but then, I still have stuff from my first round, some sour gorilla bubble haze. That it pretty much, it has a different light, it has different movements almost in it where it can be enjoyed early in a certain way. And then, now when I take the stuff that, it's 5 months old in a jar, been curing, um, yeah, it's still very, very good, kind of in a different way and probably has a bit more character. And I think too, that's something as people get more mature with their consumption, now, I found with buyers and stuff, they don't want old, they're afraid of old weed. They don't, and it's probably because people aren't properly curing, and that if they don't get it, as fast as possible from the producers, then it's not going to be a good quality. But yeah, I think all of those that when you start with good weed, high THC, stuff, then you can enjoy it whenever you like. You can have it early. You can and be personally, it's like to me that broad spectrum is what I'm attracted to. Not only having the weed at different times, but having concentrates that have been, are real fresh, in terms, or then to reclaim to stuff, because there's like a time for all of it. And so it's just, it's a very broad medicine at your disposal and really shouldn't see it as a single, maybe you can, oh, you only need it for a single thing and can kind of pinpoint that. But, my relationship with it is, across the spectrum of once it's, I just want it to be at a certain place and then, I'll enjoy it through its different lifetime effects. And so, and just, and yeah, and be pretty happy, because it changes, with you. And so it has, if it were the same, if you were only consuming the same thing, a static medicine, and then, your body, you would get tolerant to it in a way that wouldn't be healthy. Whereas when you have something that's broad like that and you're experiencing it early and late, in many different ways, as long as the basic thing is working for you in all ways, then, that's really the relationship you want to have with something. Is you want it to be, different to you. So it'll, have the end effect will be the same, but you want it to kind of hit you in different ways, if that makes any sense. But just the most important thing is having quality, good enough stuff that can do that, and there's, just a lot of strain. I really liked this strain Twerps, which was like a Runts, I think, Michigan meat cross that Cosmic Wisdom did. And I mean, the flavor on that was extraordinary. And it was a pretty potent, albeit I think had CBD in it and stuff. I had a nice mom that didn't want to re-veg, or I would have probably done more with it. But yeah, most of those strains, I'm pretty much now just going to be growing, my 3D crosses, because that's and maybe Gorilla Bubble, because those are about the only things that, or I just, I finished Tony Green's new Chem Bubble, which was the Chem 91 times Sour Bubble. And those were the most massive plants in my last run. And they didn't have a lot of smell until about hanging for a week drying. And now, yeah, they smell. It's hard to, in that room, it's hard to kind of pinpoint it, but they do have a nice smell now. And yeah, that stuff is real nice. But I think I'm going to focus on my sativas and really just try to push those and, get them normalized, maybe release some of my clones to other producers so that, it's just they're around, get people used to it and have it more available. And then, yeah, it'll all come back around. And, okay, but no, that's, if
I
that
think
touches on what you were asking.
I think it's awesome that you keep the 3D base there, and it touched the bag to my friend so cool. I think that's super cool that you keep the 3D the garden.
Yeah, yeah, it kind of makes it easy, because it's I mean, I have strains that I have bred, a lot of the stuff I'm doing is, an F1 with the 3D and a good mother, is what you want, and so I mean, it's like, yeah, you can make F2s from those, and there's still going to be good stuff, or yeah, but it's, I feel like I have like my grape laser lights and head games and, strains that I've bred over time, but some of the best stuff is just, knowing when to make a good F1, and then make those seeds available. And that's really the purest, when I cross a good mother with my 3D, I know that those seeds, I really haven't been burned by that. It's um, I'm always been more interested in going through those and finding females than even the original mothers. Um, and so, yeah, that's what I think, why the people that grow my seeds are generally pretty happy. Because it just has that vigor, um, that, you know, it's not hard to find a good lady. And generally the things, smell or taste like they're supposed to. And, um, so yeah, no, I got kind of burned on, I went down this bog. Bushy old grower was one of the first boggle gum, first things I ever grew, boggle gum and lifesaver. And so before I started up with the new business, I got a bunch of bog seeds, like sour bubble, sour boggle, lifesaver, just like six of them. Um, and what I found are that, there's, Bog made some great stuff, but he wasn't breeding with big numbers, and there's lots of hermaphrodites to be found in those genetics. And I have this, sour strawberry clone that I got off Strainly that's, it grows like shit. But the strawberry, I mean, it's just ridiculous how strawberry it is. And so you put up with it. And so I had made a cross of that with a great bog bubble male that I had. I got from that was beautiful and smelled like grapes. And like, yeah, in my first building, I ran a bunch of those seeds. And at about maybe the fifth week, every single one of them, like, balled out on me. And so I had to pull the strain. And, I thought it was going to be a legendary, you're taking the sour strawberry bog with some bog grape bubble gum. And yeah, putting that together, um, it just, the plants were so beautiful and smelled gorgeous. But yeah, so now I'm just like, I'm only going to use my 3D male as boy or, because it's really, that's something, having stable genetics, that's something that people don't really think a lot about, and finding good male stock, even beyond, just the flavor and potency is whether or not it crosses well. And, you know, and most importantly, is just stable. And yeah. And so no, yeah, my 3D, it's, yeah, nothing is, nothing is 100%, I mean, like I had there are some sativas that will, right at when they're done, they'll throw a few bananas just to say, screw you, I'm done, but that's not really being hermaphroditic. That's just, what some great clones do. And so that's, but yeah, that's, uh, no, it's a, no, I've really enjoyed making seeds, and like I said, being able to grow out a bunch, um, more numbers than I've ever had was really exciting. And oh, my headset. Sorry. Oh, that's better. Okay. But no, anyway, I try to, my old place, it was set up to really catch hermaphrodites, in the, in that I had purposeful light leaks in there and would give them cold water shock. And so, um, yeah, I found a lot of Hermes and other strains, to the dismay of the growers, just by growing them. In some cases they might not, like it might have just been my room, was pushing them too hard. And if you were in a properly sealed room, they'd be fine. But I just felt for if you were breeding seeds, like that was the least that I could do, is try to weed out, the unstable genetics the best that I could. If you're gonna charge money for something, it should be of the highest quality. So, but
So I can't help but ask, and I don't mean you've divulged, a few of your secrets already, but so is the cold water shock um a testing thing, or is it something that you do in your flushing phase that you've kind of be, anti stress?
well,
Produces a little bit of
well, it
difference.
was one of it was one of those things that, just because my well, especially in the wintertime, is very cold. And so it comes out. And at the time, I was watering directly from that. And like, but no, I think it's much better in my commercial building. I have big tanks that are at room temperature. And, I would never pull that shit with that. But it was, yeah, it was just sort of that thing where it was very difficult for me to get the water, warmer. So by necessity, this test, was forced upon my plants. And, and I just sort of saw it as something, because yes, that would, sometimes after a cold watering, you would see the males come, the Hermes show themselves. Um, but I felt like that was good, because at least if I use they're all getting that cold water, and the majority of them are not reacting. And so, using the ones that can handle that, that's always good, because, I want the stuff to be easy to grow for people. And, yeah. And so that's kind of, but now I have a good stock of genetics that are very stable. And um, yeah, I mean, I shut that building down because I'm just concentrating on my commercial ones now and don't need to pay any more power bill than than that presently. So, um, but no, I'm real happy to have had all that time to work on that stuff, and I'm going to renovate it in the future, the cave, and um, use it again for stuff. But right now, I've got plenty of growing space, and gosh, just the scraps of when I'm making concentrate, sort of cover me for medicine, almost. And so I'm not really so worried about my personal. I've got got more to smoke than I could ever imagine. So, um, yeah, I'm just trying to put all my focus in the business and, you know, just doing it the best I can.
So, like kind of in the upscaling process, taking, the plants that you work with all the time, even though you kind of keeping the process same, you know, just simply moving to a new building. You know what I mean? Especially a manufactured building. You know what I mean? It's a different environment. Have you noticed, some changes in, you know what I mean, plus or minuses in the different
It's
environment?
No, it's all pluses because I mean, my other, it was that other environment, was good for breeding because it sort of had these forced things that push the plants to their limits. But when you're growing, ideally you want the nicest, cushiest place for these things to grow. And these buildings, they are meant to keep kids warm in the winter, so they're insulated and just easy to keep. If you think of the plants like the kids or whatever, and just keeping them happy. And it's real easy to keep that between 70 and 80 degrees year round. Even in the summer, I just had to throw an AC in the window, and no, even when it was 100, it kept things real nice. And yeah, not having all that heat from the lights and everything to deal with. Those bulbs, they're only 100 degrees when they're operational. And so, um, yeah, you can touch them when they're on. So it's not like, the old fashioned bulbs where when you're dealing if you wanted that much light, you would have to have so much more energy just to, deal with the heat involved with that much light. And so it's cool to just from, it's almost not worth it from an environmental standpoint to use the old fashioned lighting indoor, but LEDs, you can do it. I mean, it's not as ideally, I'd like to get one of those buildings, another mobile classroom, and tear the ceiling out, and have a retractable one. And so, because the light, I'm at 7,400 feet above, and so our UV light, um, I think if you had a mixture if the outdoor out here, it's kind of leafy. It's really great for concentrates because it's full of terpenes and THC, but the buds themselves really don't look that pretty. But it's, yeah, if you could combine that with indoor, having them not have to deal with the elements and, yeah, I think that would be a really cool system to just supplement the sun and have a retractable ceiling or something crazy like that. But until I can afford something that's, God, just building something. I mean, that's probably $100,000 building. Just real. It sounds simple, but when you start trying to pull back a roof, a ceiling and have it be light tight, it's going to be. But anyway, yeah, using those LEDs, they're not ridiculous. They don't make you spend all this other money, burn all this other energy on, just having the lights. So yeah, and the plants are going crazy. They love that pure white light and without the heat, and it's a really yeah, it's exciting to grow under those conditions. And um, I'm sure everything, I mean, the sativas love it, but yeah, I'm sure whatever you were growing, like, would probably look even better because they just respond, that light, that color temperature is equivalent to like coral, at the equator underneath like 10 foot of ocean water, and so, that's why coral is so beautiful, is it's responding to that ultra white light. And so cannabis, it responds to its environment, and, giving it that, makes it really nice. And it grows the kind of flower that I like to grow, the stuff that it's tight and just bursting with the good stuff. And yeah, that's you know, a big leafy bud, just to me is pretty depressing. It's like, even if it's a 2 liter bottle size bud, if it's a bunch of, that there's not that much THC in there. It's just, and, I'm not doing this to grow leaves, I'm trying to grow the flowers. And for too long, people were looking at cannabis as like a fruit, because they're growing it under that red light that's good for fruiting. But no, it's a flower. And and flowers like the sun and the white light, and, as much of it as you can give them.
So, all right, I got a couple of questions
All
right
right.
off the bat. One of them harder than the other. The next one, I'm like, I'll lob it to you. It would be super easy. Next one's super easy, super easy. This one I don't know about. So as you're upscaling, up into your cannabis dream, I'd like to stop there and wish you all the success in the world, brother. And, I'd love to see people succeed and do what they love. It's so critical that we chase things that we love that keep our soul healthy. You know what I mean? I wish you the best in your cannabis journey. But as you upscale, and I'm asking twofold here. What you do, and because I wonder myself, you know what I mean? As we step up, it gets harder and harder and harder to spread ourselves thin to make everything happen. It gets, you know what I mean? It's harder to be the guy that waters. It's harder to fucking be, trimmer. It's, now you've added, you're fucking awesome, by the way, multifaceted because, it's hard, now you're chucking seeds, you're making flour, your extracts, there's business. You know what I mean? It sounds like you have yourself pretty thin as it is. And to keep scaling up, you know what I mean? Yeah, you have to fucking let people in. And that's my part. I'm like, because I have a hard time with trust, period. But when it comes to like quality and representation of like my brand, it's even worse. So that's where I have trouble to like, where am I gonna let somebody in? So as things progress, where do you see yourself kind of stepping back, and do you see yourself staying in the flower room producing the plants and the seed and kind of passing off like the extracts and the squeezing the oil or whatever? I mean, we want to think we can fucking stay young and do it all forever, but where's your heart going to stay at in this dream,
Well,
if you complete
first of all,
success? You know what
well,
I
like,
mean?
I mean, to answer, maintaining sanity during to scale all this, I guess when I started, I knew that I would need space, and and so, and I was pretty, I knew it worked for 20 or 30 plants at a time, and so it wasn't that much harder to just do 5 times that, um, and just, but you just I just know that I needed the space to do every part of it. And so I sort of took most of the money that I had up front to get these three buildings, which have been really great because I'm not sacrificing, when you start, when you don't have enough room to do things, that's another thing that can be a big hit on quality. And so right now, I have a building the size of my flowering building to veg it. And so, I mean, I'm only using a smaller amount of it because they're smaller plants, but it's just, I have a place that is ideal for the vegging, that has the drippers and, I have to spend as little of time as possible, once I get that set up, because I'm not doing 2,000 plants. I'm doing, 100 plants at a time. And which, if you have the proper setup, with the drippers, you're really, it's not that much time. And I enjoy that, but I see flower as just, I've been growing for over 20 years. And,
Can I
um,
stop you right there
yeah,
before you
yeah,
get too far?
sure.
I want to thank you for throwing out, I've never automated my grows with like drippers, but I'd like to thank you because I'm sure a lot of people, especially a lot of new people switching over,
Yeah,
don't necessarily think about that step you were talking about earlier of the hand watering and pulling the roots out
yes.
before you set them things in there because that's a fucking great tip, by
Well,
the
no,
way.
I had to
So
learn the hard way on that. And so, yeah, it's just, but it was really, I didn't know everything of what I had to do. I just know I needed the space to do it all in. And so I started with that and making sure I had the physical space to do this properly, to do, and not, you know, I know, not having, having too many plants in a space is something people, will do because they just, they only have a small space at home, but they want to grow all these different things. And so, yeah, I knew that. And so that was a big thing where, okay, because I really, I love making concentrates and, the idea of having, I can see in the future, just automating the growing, as much as I possibly can, or just teaching, when I can afford more help, I'll certainly be open to it. And I'm lucky to have my wife who does all this stuff for free. And so it's, and then the guy that I work with, who's, none of this would really be possible, without his brilliance. And so, yeah, I mean, right now, the three of us, um, are kind of, maintaining what we have. And then I'm just hoping as that grows, I'm really, um, yeah, I want to run this company. And when I can pass off the things that I'm doing, to others, and still maintain, know that they're going to do things right, I'm fine with that. I mean, it's not rocket science. It's just, sort of a particular way of doing it, and so it's, um, and yeah, and, and I hope to, always be learning new methods, and, everything could change, you know, in time, but it's like right now I have something that's very sustainable. So in the flower side, yeah, I'm able to, produce, run those 100 plants. And then I have a whole another building that I can hang them up in. And then for drying and all, and so that's really what makes that stuff, manageable right now. I guess really the only thing that stresses me out in any way is, yeah, the sales stuff and the things that are not happening here. It's like, yeah, I have this stuff. I love doing it all, and if I'm a success, then I'll be able to afford to teach others to, you know, grow the company. And yeah, but I'm not. I'm working very hard, but it's, I enjoy what I'm doing so much that, it feels like work, but it's, the best work, you know in the world to me. So it's kind of like, that drives me, every day to keep, because I have a vision of this working out. And so, yeah, it's when you can see the future, and you feel like, and I feel like I'm on top of it. I mean, there's, I'm making cutting edge cannabis, and um yeah, that's what really pushes me. But you know it'll be nice when things, I can get. I really want a new Toyota 4Runner. I've been driving a 2008, and it's wonderful vehicle, but it's yeah. I'll be happy to have a vehicle without 200,000 miles some point soon, and um, but no, but no, I'm really happy and feel very blessed, and as I've talked about in earlier segments, yeah, about my father's and mother's influence on all of this, and now they really stepped up and made this dream happen. And um yeah, I mean, it was like they understood that I was in a unique position where, with what I knew how to do, if they put a little money into it, we had a good possibility of getting into this. I don't think in a couple of years, you're going to be able to buy into the cannabis industry for less than millions of dollars. And New Mexico has these micro business licenses, which are that's the cheapest part of the whole thing. They're not. It's just being having everything up to code and being you know having a commercial. I mean, shit, it's going to cost me 10 grand just to get my bathrooms working. With all the gotta put all these tanks, and it's mind blowing. Just some of the what this, because I for so long have lived off of little bit of money. I just try to live as cheaply as possible, and yeah, now running what's I think will become a multi-million-dollar business in a few years. It's very different, and I kind of have to think a little differently. But no, man, like that's the stuff that I really think about in this hard is the non-growing, non-wax making, but I'll be doing all of it for the time being. And I really enjoy, I've grown a lot of flower, and I'd like to get more equipment for making better concentrates, and just that experimentation, because every batch that I make, I sort of learn something new about how the oil and the wax reacts. And that, to me, once I have my working lab fully, and I just think that's when the real science happens, is when I can make stuff at a super high quality and then just experiment with that. And no, I mean, I don't know if you saw the picture of some of that blue laser light wax, some of the oil, but yeah, it came out really blue, which I know I've said the color, but that's kind of exciting when the actual color of the plant comes through in the oil, because that doesn't normally happen, with and so yeah, that'll be fun. I want to keep stuff real natural, and the concentrates and super potent. But yeah, the more I can play with it, and um like I was talking about the blending the wax with the rosin. I mean, that stuff is, yeah, I mean, it's just, you see stars. I mean, it kind of reminds me of those coated lifesavers that they sell that have like 3 or 4 different kinds of chemical sugars. And so it's just, you know, they just blow out your brain. It's like, no, I like that. No, I think stars are good things to see when you're, but no, that's so yeah. So yes, your question about maintaining quality and what I plan for the future is, yeah, no, I mean, I want to run this business, but just get really good at all the things I'm doing now. Just keep proceeding and get better at it. And um yeah, I'm sure that I'll look at my first concentrates that I'm making in a year or two from now. They'll seem very crude, um but I know they work really well. So um and was there a second question, or was that the?
There is.
All
There
right.
is.
All right. Did
So
I answer the first one?
you did. You did. There was no wrong answer there. So yeah. 100%. Um, so if you'd like to, take if you want to take another dab, it's a
Oh,
good time. I mean,
okay.
I'm not pushing it, but
Oh,
I am smoking out over here, so I thought maybe I'd even up the playing field. a little.
Yeah, I've been enjoying that blueberry wax, and if I can open this, yeah.
So while you're doing that, I would like to give you a couple of congrats. So congrats on actually, we've kind of done this and got to know each other a little bit over this will be 3 years.
Four this,
uh,
yeah, I know it's this will be 4 years, I
four
think.
years,
Because
right?
there
Yeah.
it's been 2 years since the last one, and there
Y-
was one, two, yeah, three, yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah,
4 years. Cheers to that.
yes, sir.
And so that leads up to my other cheers, and that is to you and the missus there. And why I say that is you guys seem, at least I can see it now, anyways, but I could hear it then. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? That spark.
yes.
You know what I mean? And when you speak of her, still, you still have that same tone and spark to your voice as you did the first episode.
Oh, well, no, I mean,
So
if anything, I mean, yeah, it's we have a really wonderful relationship, and I was 38 and she was 21. All right, when we first got together, and so that's young. She was still kind of and so, but now that she's a 30-year-old woman, that's like, yeah, I mean, just amazing. I mean, it's kind of um, yeah, and just the amount of help, how smart you know she turned out to be. And no, I knew she was brilliant from the beginning, but it's just this, the amount of help that she does, just understanding things that I used to have to do when I was younger, like I was the computer guy, but now it's like, just that generation just understands that stuff that we used to kind of take for granted and struggle with. And so it's just, having someone that can be on top of all of that kind of stuff, and but just really be a supportive partner to me. And she's now a professional DJ and has performed in Manila and Albuquerque, and is yeah, and so I've been supporting her with that as much as I can, all I can. And it's been exciting because we're both really pursuing our dreams. And so it's not just her helping me, doing what I love, which she does tremendously, but she has something that means a lot to her too, and that she's gotten very good at. And so it's sort of, we both, we don't have any stupid kids to sort of make things lame. And so we're just, we live our life in a beautiful place and have everything that we need. And so that's a huge, for any relationship. It's like, if you're not fighting over money and crap, you know if you don't, that's makes things a lot easier. And we get along very well, so we just have, yeah, it's also, and just the motivation to do this. I mean, I don't know if I would have even cared enough, but I just, had I not gotten married to someone that I love so much, it's just kind of it's what you do. And now I see this as an opportunity. you know she's lived out here with me. I'd love to give her a nicer house, and just have every opportunity there for her. And so that's another motivation, I think, for the business. And I was perfectly happy prior to starting this commercial business with, I mean, but this, I really feel, I don't want it to ever you know make things, you know I don't want things to change, that happiness, and nothing is worth. And so I'm excited because it's like this, am doing something that's under my control. And um when I do start having employees, this place is, it's only going to be as bad as I can make it. And I've worked so many at shitty places for assholes, and it's like, I love the people that work with me. And just, I just it's so exciting to find someone that can actually, that cares about this stuff. And so, no, I look forward to being a really good boss in the future too. And I mean, I'm a capitalist, but like, there's, a lot of good leftist ideas that I think can make, can enrich capitalism. That's kind of where I'm at with that. And so, but what were you saying? Um, shout out to Chad Westport for noticing the Aphex Twin in the background. That's what my wife's. That was the. Yeah, we're big electro nerds.
Right on. So I think I interrupted you guys or your dab there. So please
All right.
indulge.
No, I set up the synthesizer so that if I needed musical interludes, like they would be there. And but yeah, that's the. All right, now whoa. Yeah, I still, when I had a smoke shop 5 years ago, I could get like cheap Chinese glass and also some nice blown stuff, like handmade stuff that was headier pieces. And I bought some nicer glass, but then they had these for like $15 at the warehouse. Just these, to me, this is the perfect size, with a big ball on the bottom, and it's about 12 inches, and so you can get a giant hit built up, but it doesn't, get stale. I guess it's more important for flour than really for concentrate, but yeah, these are, just total head blasters that, for my guests and stuff, I have, um, less violent dabbing equipment that they can. Because yeah, it's when you make lots of concentrate, just the size of your dabs, it kind of, you start to, it's all reclaim, baby. So but yeah, I'm really really glad. I say this often that I discovered concentrates by making them and not in the store, because I imagine, like, if I was in the city and had lots of money working a job or whatever, I'd spend just a small fortune, you know on waxes and that. It's, concentrates are nice when you don't have to use them sparingly. They're kind of this the and that's no and that's what's great about, all this. Like in New Mexico, people can grow, I think like 12 plants now for a couple. And no, having lots of material is good, because it doesn't even, you can grow weed that doesn't have to be beautiful, that can be turned into something much better. And so, yeah, people just having lots of, as a flower seller, I don't like that the market is flooded, but just, I don't know. I mean, I think it's good for humanity the more weed there is. And so I'm just trying to figure out my place with it's like, I want there to be a good top shelf market so I can get paid well for what I'm doing, but I also want, just lots of, cheap, high quality concentrate to be available for everyone if they need it, because it should, I think it would just help a lot of people who are on a lot harder drugs, if they just had regular good concentrate that worked the same every time. And I think I say this every time I'm on here, but yeah, that's really, when weed becomes medicine, is, that's really what it takes. Is you need that consistency and stability, and just, you know not have your brain go from having lots to having nothing. I mean, because that was the worst time for me when I was younger, is when I didn't have a, consistent supply. And then it's like, even if you can buy stuff, it might not be really what you need. And so, it takes so much for, I think, people to really get the expense of having good medicine. But it's worth it. And I think as this gets more normalized, people will demand it. And The demand will, it's America. Demands are filled. All right. This ought to shut me up.
Well, the point is to enjoy it, not to our guest. We're look, we're the one to hear what you've been up to. Yeah. You're the reason for the gathering, my friend. Cheers to you. Here's that cheers anyway to you, guys. So the next one is, like I said, the next one's a little bit easier, or should be anyway. It has been a minute since we talked last. 2 years. Well, in a Nova, 2 years to the November 28th.
I start
We actually fell 2 days short of the 2 year anniversary. Coincident.
I started with really crummy satellite internet first, on our first visit. And I think by the second, I had slightly better terrestrial internet, but now I have good old Elon Musk Starlink, which is it's pretty radical if you're out in the middle of nowhere, and can't. And so that really has been nice to actually have the upgrade. Uh, but yeah, it's oh man, that was a good one.
So the question is, obviously, what have you been up to? You were pounding out the strains the last time we talked to, so there's got to be a lot of new stuff since the last time we've spoken. So I guess anywhere
Oh
you
yeah,
want to jump in on that.
yeah, sure. The right, like currently at Great Lakes, I think when the first two that I released, well, three, but I told you how I had to pull that strawberry bubble gum. Um, but the other ones, yeah, I got some of that Florida Crippy. I had a pretty nice mother of that I crossed with the bubble gum. That's available. I don't know much about that strain. The mother that I used was really unique and powerful, and um but that could just be a story or just the name. I don't know if there's actually a Crippy strain, but the guy that sold it to me, he told a good story. So as far as I know, it was so yeah, that's kind of a unique one. And then I a bunch of my older strains I decided to use the name of and kind of make a new version just to really confuse everyone in the history of. And so I've had Grape Laser Light up to Grape Laser Light 5. I've made versions over the years. And so but really my purple Colombian AC Hayes mother, which is just one of the most beautiful sativas. I've had this clone for 4 or 5 years now. I still have the seeds and stuff that I started it from, but this was just one. It's like grape candy and super uplifting, and kind of the best purple haze that I've ever produced. It makes nice purple buds. It's done in 8-9 weeks. It's just so that clone I used with one of those bog grape bubblegum males. Uh, just putting the grape candy with the grape bubblegum, and ran those for my first run in my production building. Um, and they turned out pretty nice. I wasn't, sometimes you do crosses and the both of those parents are so tasty, and yeah, I don't know if I felt though that those offspring of the Grape Laser Light are quite as good as the parents. But and that too is because I didn't, it's why I don't want to not use my 3D anymore, because I mean, it's really good stuff, and it tested at 28%, and it But I'm just being super picky about my. I mean, no, everyone has enjoyed it very much, and like, but it's just compared to that, when you have a clone mom. Whereas, like I was telling you about that New York City blueberry clone, um, crossed with the 3D, is just better than the mother, and so I have, yes, that those strains, with the banana OG, the Oregon Kid. um I just did a big run of banana haze, um which is a cross of that Oregon Kid banana OG with the 3D G13, and those came out absolutely beautiful, with a very variety of, whereas the blue laser light really blew up the blueberry terpene. Um the banana hazes, they don't do that quite as much, as they have incredible bouquet of fruit flavors and tropical smells, but it didn't make a they're not super banana-y like the blue laser light is to the banana must be a bit more recessive, um whereas that blueberry is a dominant trait that passed very easily, um with the cross. And I was talking about that Gorilla Haze that you can get now, which is the GG4 clone with 3D. And yeah, I mean, that thing is just such a superstar. I mean, I don't like to say anything's the best, but just like pound for pound, just that's just such extraordinary weed that, it just, I think it's every bit as good as the clone, and maybe a little bit more. And just yeah, I'm really excited about that Gorilla Haze. But really, all of them are. Let me think of the other. Yeah, and the head games, the new, and I had a head game series, where the original one was a Jack Harar clone that I had crossed with the 3D. Head Games 2 was a Jack, OG Trainwreck crossed with the 3D. And then Head Games 3 was 3D crossed to a Head Games 2 female. And that was really the best one of that first run. Um, People really enjoyed that because that was kind of like almost like a Cinderella 99 type fast flowering haze, super uplifting. And so when I got that New York City Piff and the East Coast Sour Diesel, cuts, and crossed them with 3D, I've made a new versions of Head Games 1 and 2, and, yeah, the Piff 3D, is just a gorgeous sativa, uh, with all those pissy, um, Catholic frankincense smells, and, but yeah, just really exciting sativas, and grown in that building under that light. They express themselves, in their most beautiful. Pardon me. I'm going to have my wife come up and answer some questions while I pee. You don't want to come? Okay. Well, I'm going to take a quick break, if that's all right.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
All right. Thank you.
We'll do some shout outs. Say hello to some folks in chat.
Oh, right.
Cheers, martial artist Claude. How you doing? Placement. What else we got? Chat. Modern artist. Oh, modern genetics. Martial artist. Who else? Stony Creek John. Cheers to you, Machine Elf. How you doing? Ty Rose. So many regulars. It's nice to see you guys. Thank you for showing up for a, well, unfortunately, it was kind of random thrown up. My apologies to Tennessee for not being more on the ball in advertising for this episode, but I appreciate it's been pretty good episode. I've seen 80 plus at one point watching on a basically pop up episode. Thank you guys for being awesome and hanging out. Look for more episodes in the future. Tuesday night, Val Potheads. At least she was at one point in chat. Cheers to you. We'll be looking forward to you. Tuesday night, I believe we're going to try out a new time. Tuesday at 10 o'clock will be the new times for the fucking talking shit with Eagles. For those of you, it's been too late. You'll be a little bit easier to catch some earlier episodes starting Tuesday. Here we go. Cheers, my friend. Welcome back.
No, the past two times, I don't think I took a bathroom break, and yeah, it's like I forget how bad I have to go, and then it's so yeah, I feel better now. No, and I just like I find now, like, do you watch things at a normal speed? Like say like YouTube videos or movies, or do you ever speed things up when you're watching things?
Ah, man, I have went back and forth. I listen to my Audible these days. I've in at one and a quarter. Um, I've went as far as the 2x, back down to 1.5. It's X. I've went through the 2x and I just found I could take it in, but I wasn't taking it in as much as I should be. And then it was just weird, like when I took off the headphones to like deal with like regular life, everybody else seemed to be like laggy. And I was like, yeah, what? Yeah, you know what I mean? It was like, okay. So yeah, I decided to scrap the 2x thing just in except like sometimes like because I don't go back and rewatch a whole lot of shit.
Right.
Life's just too short, and I'm living in now, and I'm trying to learn new shit. So I'm
No,
very guilty of not going back. But I do go back on like episodes like this. It's been so long since last time we've talked. I don't want to
no,
look, completely. So I go
no.
back and kind of check up to see what we talked about. So I have, some decent questions to ask. I mean, you. I mean,
Right.
you're the subject, so it's easy for you. You don't gotta go. You don't have to go back and look. You know what I mean? So I gotta go back and I've talked to. Well, this is eight 820 824 now. Wow. So it was 531 since our last episode.
Oh
And I
wow.
try to keep the whole episodes to guess. Now the point, if you ever look back at the channel and you see an episode that's like point 0.5, point 0.3, point what da 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 da, those are We Nerd World episodes. So that's like the panel episodes. And this is a good time to remind you of that. You can come hang out anytime you like in the weed nerd world. Those are Mondays and Thursdays these days. So
Right.
tomorrow at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 6 o'clock Pacific will be a weed nerd world. Same link. You can come hang out, smoke weed, do whatever. It's just more or less a hangout. So the point, whatever's I reserve for the weed nerd world. Only the whole episodes for guests. So it's been 300 plus people since the last time I talked to you. So
That's
I'm guilty of not having looking back at all those episodes, just the people like yourself that that are coming back. So I try to refresh a little bit of our conversation.
right.
So I
Right. No. No, the reason I brought up the speed is like, no, I really enjoy. I mean, I find like, yeah, I wish they had a speed faster than double speed sometimes, but like two, two speed is like where I'm comfortable, and I find I retain more. And that really, I think is probably, it's really nice being able to kind of speed up and slow down like what you're intaking, because you really can't do that in life. And I think a lot of people who are ADD or whatever and bored easily, it's like if school, had a fast forward button, it probably would have been a lot easier. And I could have, I only allowed a lot, so much attention to something, but I can give it really close attention at a faster speed than I would if it were drawn out. But yeah, it does seem like people are on barbiturates, when you hear normal talking, when you listen to that fast. And no, in like Christopher Nolan movies, like I watched Interstellar at double speed, and it was perfect. It was like an hour and a half, and it flew by at just a reasonable pace. It wasn't this and so no, I think it's maybe not what the director had in mind, but I think people sort of like with cannabis, just time and like that yeah, finding what is like the proper speed of life to, if you're trying to learn about stuff or just enjoy something. Because, there's a lot of crap that you don't have 20 minutes for, but, you may have 10. So it's kind of like you don't feel as guilty, like spending 10 minutes as you would, having spent 20. If that makes any sense. But yeah, I just have found that to be interesting that as my internet got faster and I had the ability to actually watch things faster, yeah, I don't know. I found a much more comfortable pace. And I was thinking, yeah, someone could, yeah, listen to this conversation and utilize the speed and then, get through it. And it wouldn't be such a waste of their time. But no, it's anyway.
No, I no, I in fact, I wouldn't. No, 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 no. I wouldn't go there. Wouldn't go there because it sometimes I do 2x because
Yeah.
our last episode was 4 hours long,
Yeah. Both of
and
them
I
were.
thought I was like shit. I literally had that like shit moment. I'm like, how am I gonna push through that right quick? And the only answer to that is 2x it,
Right.
right? And I didn't. I today this morning I was like, I didn't. I thought of it yesterday, and yesterday blew by way too quick. Days blow by way too fucking fast anymore. So
Right.
today I get to it, and I had one initially had thought to 2x it, but I enjoyed the fucking conversation too much that I didn't even make it all the way through. I made it like almost 3 hours at regular speed.
No,
Because
that's
you know
great.
what I mean? It was like, yeah, I completely enjoyed the episode. So, yeah, that's why I said in the beginning to go back because I had just freshly kind of like
Right.
went through it and I was like, yeah, this, a good episode. So cheers.
If if I don't go back though, then it's how I remember it. But if I'm actually listening to it, and I'm just gonna I'm gonna hear parts and go, Jesus, I was a little long winded at just saying a very simple thing, and so no. Now, if I don't go back, I can just in my head it was perfect, and that's. But no, it's fun. I enjoy this, and yeah, it's woo. Yeah, I got
So how
a
many streams, I guess, all together have you pumped out since then?
oh, since I talked to you last, or no, in the last, there's all the stuff that's up on Great Lakes now. I think there's, I mean, I'm sure there's from this year and last. There's probably about 20 strains that I've been trying to take down the stuff where I put it in the freebies. I mean, it's a really good deal there. You buy a pack and they usually have deals, but now I have so many strains that are still really good, but I just, if they're 5 years old or 4 years old, I don't want to charge full price for them. And so I just, make them the buy one, get one. And so they're still there, but um, no, I mean, they should all still germ. And I just, I'm real excited. I got this 15 of these KC Brains Haze Special Seeds. And this was a strain that I grew out 20 years ago. It was one of the first things I bought from Gypsy. He has the seed boutique. Um, yeah, this stuff, it's a cross of Neville's Haze with this Brazilian indica that I think is kind of like my 3D. It serves that where it brought down the Neville's haze, which I don't have any interest in growing a 14 or 16-week Neville's haze, but these haze specials are sort of just a Neville's haze at 10 weeks. And I remember 20 years ago, it was some of the most electric weed I've ever, just pure, probably even purer than maybe the 3DG13 in that it was just all THC and all heady, and it grew super fast. And so I have 10 of those going now, and they're catching up to my clones that they're way younger than. And so, yeah, I hope to get a few good females. And, it'll be really cool to see that in my building under all that light, seeing what that's probably even closer to one of those, original hazes, in that, I don't even know what's in 3DG13. That's just to the best of my knowledge. And so I just know what the strain is like. And, it's, um, yeah, and that's what the effect that it has. So it's an antenna haze. But if you want to talk like, the old school hazes, um, yeah, this Neville's cross is going to be really neat. And if I find a nice lady to cross with the 3D, that should be real exciting. And but yeah, but it's just nice because this guy on Instagram had, I think he's a seed seller hoarder, guy, and grows a few, I guess, and had bought a ton of this Dutch stuff, and it's hard to find Dutch genetics in the U.S. And the KC Brain stuff, I don't think is even made anymore. So these were 10-year-old seeds, but or at least, and I got most of them popped within a day or two, and so, um, yeah, for germinating seeds, I got from Walmart one of those lizard, like one of those stick on an aquarium heaters. It's just like a heated pad that you plug in that keeps a lizard aquarium. And so I stuck one of those to a bottom of like a Pyrex dish, and I plug it in, and I'll put my seeds that are in paper towels and a Ziploc bag on that dish. Um, and boy, it's a super germer, just having you know, if you want seeds that's the fastest I've ever seen. It warms them up just to that perfect temp that, um, they do real nice. But yeah, I like to do the paper towels and then into the dirt. Um, but because yeah, then at least you're starting with something. And but I've gotten very good germ rates with, um, my seeds that when I pop 50 or 60 of a bunch of different strains these past few runs, and you know only had a couple not come up, and so they're very hardy because it's 6 weeks. Always give them 6 weeks from when you pollinated them, and you know then you'll have good seeds. But yeah, boy.
Oh,
Are
my
there any other,
friend.
are there any questions?
I'm sure there are, and I could go on forever, but unfortunately, real life has like changed. My life has changed since the light. I mean, we could do a whole episode on that, but we won't.
No, please
Since
don't.
no. Since the last time we talked. So yeah, so daytime's a real thing nowadays. And I guess like kind of going back to something you said I touched on earlier is I appreciate the way life is these days, or is evolving to where people are chasing their dreams. The 9 to 5 thing is a thing, but isn't a thing. You know what I mean? More people are able to work from home or on their schedule, which I think super important because I think the whole fucking 9 to 5 thing is stupid because that was based on what I don't even know, corporate bullshit, the dollar, greed. You know what I mean? Life should be based on you and your natural clock. You know what I mean? Because yeah, even more so as I aged and I evolved, my peak times aren't what they used to be. So, you know what I mean? Is like gardening and shit like that. You can adjust your peak time to,
Yeah.
this is where I want to work today. I'm going to take care of shit like that. And people should have that ability to, you know what I mean? Work in their peak time so they can enjoy life to their maximum ability instead of having to, 9 to 5. You gotta. It's nice to see life's evolved to, more human, like, be
Right.
able, it's
I
cool
think a
life.
lot of people would love, to be able to just work 9 to 5 and have that cover every, that's almost a dream now. It's the idea of even working 9 to 5, 40 hours and having that be enough, is, far from what a lot of people are, experiencing. So yeah, but no, I'm totally with you. And that's the only way I could be doing this. I mean, it's amazing. Like when the people come over to work with me, like we'll spend 40 minutes or an hour, dabbing this stuff, and then go work for 5, 6 hours and get an incredible amount of work done. But it's just that sort of, it's on everyone's terms, it's like it's no one, they're able to exist, you know, in a happy state, but it be very productive and very, and so that's kind of, where I like to, and there's no, like I was saying before, it's like when I get employees, like, a business only, jobs only have to suck as hard, as, I want them to be, and so that's like, and I don't want it to suck. So it's like, I don't see the benefit in that. If you're finding the people that you trust and really like and care, it's, but I'm very naive too. I'm just, so I'm sure when the reality sets in, there's a reason why successful business guys become assholes. They're just forced to. But I'm, really gonna try to just, I believe, like, I know I can't do these things alone. And so yeah, making it good for people um that are helping me, I think, is a good thing. But I just want to be profitable so that I can, be this nice guy. Yeah. It's, so you're saying you don't want me to go to like 4:30 then?
Oh God, in a perfect world, I wish I
Uh,
could, but yeah, I got to get up and do the 9 to 5 thing. I
oh,
was
okay.
just kind of telling everybody why you're in the bathroom break starting like Tuesday, because Monday, tomorrow is Weed Nerd World. Back to that, I'm gonna plug that again real quick for you. Mondays and Thursdays, anytime
Right.
you want to come hang out. Same link, Monday, Thursday, 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 6 o'clock Pacific. You're more than welcome. Other than that, I'd love to do another episode, but you know what I mean? No commitment, just want to pop on, say hi,
Right.
seed drop, whatever,
Cool.
do it.
Thank you.
You know what I mean? So I want to get that out of the way. But yeah, starting Tuesday, I gotta dial it back because of the 9 to 5. So I'm gonna get back to doing the regular fucking talking shit with Eagles, but I'm gonna bring them in a little bit earlier, 10 o'clock. I'm gonna like tend to like cut it off at like right now, like 2:20 to be ultimately, I love in a perfect world. I would love because like we get talking back to the like that perfect time. You know what I mean? It
Right.
would be the 11:30 to 4:20. That's my peak
Uh-huh.
time.
Well, no, no, but I felt obligated before. Like I was like at the 3 hour point, I was dying, and you're like, no, keep going, keep talking. So,
Oh
no,
man,
good.
no,
No,
you're a great conversationalist, man. I think you
oh,
could go and it'd be very entertaining to watch, you know, another couple of hours, no doubts. But unfortunately, man, I got
oh. No,
real
no,
life.
that's fine. It was, I think I've
Sucks.
said everything that I had.
I'm not adapting well.
Oh, no, that's good. Well, cool, man. I appreciate you letting me come on here and ramble on. And do you like the multi-camera? This is my wife's DJ camera setup for streaming. So I always found it to be more interesting to watch. When you have a cameras moving like this, it's kind of like easier on the eyes and stuff when it just there's a little bit of movement or change and I don't know. So I utilized her camera system to try to make it a little better.
I dig it. I dig it. I mean, even more so, I think as well as everybody else, we're just grateful we got to see the face this time.
Oh, yeah.
A
No, I figure.
little more personable. A little more personable. Yeah, and thank you, Ty. Thank you. I almost messed up. We do need
Oh, you need me to.
soundbite. I've unleashed them and I've been lazy about it the last week, but I finally on Instagram unleashed the wave of like sound bites. So uh I think you know how it goes. Basically what I'm looking for is, hey, this is Eagle. I'm on fucking talk shit with Eagle episode 824. Would say whatever you want before or after. The sound bite is yours, and I am ready for that.
Oh, okay. All right. This is Antenna Seeds. You've been watching Eagle episode 824. Believe in that.
Perfect.
All right.
Perfect. So, so but on top of that, I need you get. Well, I should. I'm a dick.
What do
I
you
should
need?
have asked you this before. You got to at least throw out there again where they can find you, where they can find the seeds, all that good shit. It should have been in the soundbite. You want to do a take two?
Oh, you want me to say? Yeah, sure.
All
All right.
right. Hold on. Here we go.
Hold on. Yeah. Hold on. Then. All right. This is Antenna Seeds. Catch us on Instagram at Antenna Seeds. We're Antenna Seeds. Catch us on Instagram at Antenna Seeds and get Antenna Seeds at Great Lake Genetics. Oh, GreatLakesGenetics.com. Thank you. Are we good? Or
Perfect. Perfect. I can mix that together. That's perfect.
all right.
They
You can get something out of that, and you can cut the takes and fix it in Pro Tools.
I may just throw them together as is, in two different videos because I appreciate the live shit. Mistakes, all, you know what I mean? Bloopers. We both walked away from it knowing what happened here and how it's going to air. But I like the sound bites just as well because they're funny to watch because
I
all
know
the
they're very.
bloopers.
It's very hard for to remember episode 824 and say those things. I can talk for 3 hours straight about other stuff and it's fine. But yeah, ask me to do that. And I sound all goofy. But all right, man. That was awesome.
Well, I appreciate you, brother, and I wish you all the success and the upscaling of things. I really do. And I hope it isn't, another 2 years before we speak again. I hope you take me up on the Weed Nerd World thing. We're
Yeah,
always
I will.
looking
I
for,
will try.
yeah,
I will
that's
certainly try.
that's the beauty of it. No commitment. You pop in whenever you feel like it. So it's it's open for you. With that being said, again, thank you very much for coming back and hanging out and kicking off. I guess is I'm not gonna say it, but it's almost like an official like season two because there's been a nice pause
All
in
right.
between. There's been a lot of weed nerd worlds I've been pointing the shit out of, but there's been a nice pause between these episodes. So thank you for helping me usher in another wave. And yeah, I do wish you complete
My pleasure.
success.
Thank you, sir.
For the rest of you guys, thank you guys for tuning in to this episode 824. I'm pretty much a random, let's do it type thing. You guys were awesome for showing up. Most importantly, do not forget to do something nice for somebody. Somebody, random acts of kindness do save lives. And with that being said, we are out of here. Thank you.